Boks are playing Italy at Loftus Versfeld first test, and Rossi Erasmus has named a very strong team, probably barring injuries, close to the strongest team that he could have named for this test. Very intent on making a statement. And with me today, I've got former Italian coach, current Glasgow Warriors coach, Franco Smith, a man who needs also former Springbok assistant coach. I'd take a half a day if to go through his whole CV. Franco, welcome back, and yeah, looking forward to the test match.
Yeah, hi, Brendan. Thank you very much. I agree. I'm also looking forward to the test match weekend. That's it. If it's from Wales playing Japan all the way through Scotland and the Maoris, and then obviously the South African Italy game. Looking forward to see where the Italian team are at. You know, I've got some deep roots there, and most of the players that is involved at the moment, well, 95% of them are introduced to the test match level, and I'm eager to see how they progress, especially against a very tough South African team.
Yeah. Well, let's start with last week's games. With the Springboks playing Barbarians, not your typical Barbarians game, and I think it's probably been said to death now that the conditions didn't help, and the Barbarians probably the Boks played a very clinical game in the wet weather against them, and a very good game. But just your takeaways from that game, what you saw?
Now we know that it's tough to gel people, and from a Barbarians perspective, in 1 week, you know, they even arrive with a liberal approach to the game. And you know, if you face a determined South African team, who's the champions of the world and who wants to, you know, make a statement at home, and with the weather, it was always going to be tough. They were not going to flung the ball around. I think a lot of emotion from the Barbarian side with Healy and Omoni playing their last rugby games at all. So I think there was a lot of ingredients there. But in the end, you know, clinical South Africa, they were just too good for them.
Yeah, I think part of it also for me is when you got one team playing their first game of the season, as opposed to a Barbarians game, which is normally the last game of the season. There's a bit of a different mindset there in a game like that. And then Italy, of course, went up to Windhoek and put 70 odd points on Namibia, which is not great for Namibia, but a very, very clinical performance by Italy. It's their biggest win ever against Namibia.
Yeah, look, I think we must understand that Namibia is quite depleted at the moment, I suppose, and the Italians have been preparing already 3-4 weeks for this game, since the fact that both their teams dropped out of the quarterfinals of the URC. They spent so much more time together. I actually saw Quesada in Treviso in the second last round, and he was saying, you know, that they fortunately have a lot of time to spend together. Yeah, not that they scored a lot of points, but I think again, Namibia had their own issues. You know, the coach left in the same week, forcing Jacques Burger to take the team at a late stage. And yeah, so they had their own issues. I don't think Italy will read much into the result. It will be more about how can they kick on and take that confidence into a very determined South African game.
You've obviously seen the team that Rossi's picked, a very strong team for this game as well. 13 of the guys from the Barbarians game still there, but where he's replaced with World Cup winners, a lot of the Japanese-based players. Probably barring all those injuries, as I said, the probably strongest team he could have picked. Did that surprise you in any way?
No, not at all. I think these results in the next 3 weeks are going to be important, obviously towards looking forward to the World Cup, but also to make sure that they're best prepared for the World Cup seating, but obviously to be best prepared for the championship that's around the corner. I think the Italian challenge is also different. Italy's been playing well. They've grown a lot and improved a lot in the last 3 years, 4 years, physically developed a lot as we projected and hoped that they would do. And I think you know, to slip at home against a team that can make it uncomfortable for you, it's not worth the risk, you know. So that to sum that up, I think continuity towards the rugby championship is important. There's not enough games for them to prepare for that. He will make use of every moment to prepare his team for that, and at the same time, Italy is not a team that should be underestimated.
Now, Rossi was saying that no player is going to probably play more than 8 or 9 games. They're going to try and keep them fresh and rotate a lot this season. And when he read the injury list yesterday, it was very apparent because just 4 players that are coming back next week: Sia, Peter Steff, Grant Williams, and Makazole Mapimpi. Already, those 4 make a huge difference. And you think they're not in there this week. He could easily pick just a strong team next week and rest half the players. So I think the danger, though, I mean, for a team like Italy, from a Springbok perspective, is, as you say, that everyone, they are a team who can make life difficult, and everybody's expecting the Springboks to win and win well at Loftus. I mean, you've been there, you know that expectation that comes with a test like this. And it's a tough one because you just have to have 1 or 2 things go wrong, or get a cardio or something like that, and it can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I agree, Brendan. That's if you don't top guys. I think the team that Rassie picked, the pack of forwards there, the 6-2 split again, is going to be too much, I think. I know the Italians, they're going to miss Ruzza in the second row. They're going to probably miss Lucchesi as a hooker. It's going to be challenging for them, to play at Loftus with the height of above sea level. They obviously in their minds. I haven't spoken to Casada about that. He asked what we did when we played the Bulls there. So that's obviously in their minds. There's a lot of challenges from that perspective for them. So I think the back that Rassie picked is so strong that they will probably, just dominate them from in that area of the game, and will give them enough attack platforms on their side on the opposition side of the field. So cannot see that with the team that Rassie picked there that they will slip against them. But we come back to the fact that he's picked the right team for this game.
Yeah, you mentioned Rizzo, and I mean another guy is missing is Brex in the midfield there as well. The 7 guys that they rested, Angie Capuzzo, who was obviously also a bit of a showman. I don't know if when in your conversation with Casada, did you get any idea why that they've rested these guys at this stage? Because I mean, obviously, Italy don't have the luxury of having so much depth, like say perhaps France, who can rest players on a tour like this.
Look, I think it's clever from my perspective. One, those names that's left out of the tour, they play a lot of rugby. They've accumulated a lot of money during the season. One, two, it's an opportunity to blood youngsters, to give more of the up and coming talent an opportunity to play. When I left Italy in 2022, there was 110 players of interest, national interest. I think that number has now gone down to more or less 90. But there's a lot of talent, and they're queuing up in every role. So where are you going to find enough test matches for these guys to be best prepared? And what better place to come down and put some of the young names amongst the other experienced players that is on tour. So again, I think in 2031, Italy will be the team with the most caps ever in a test match caps ever at the World Cup, because they started already. Most of these guys has been involved already in 23 in the World Cup when they were 21 years, 22 years old. So I think the progression and the way that he sees he's going to make his side competitive leading up to the 2027 World Cup. I think this week, knowing that it's anyway an uphill battle against South Africa, is to blood some of the young guys and, to show them what's expected and what they actually have to work towards to become a world-class international.
So what would be a satisfactory result for Italy? I mean, you already said you don't think that they're going to upset the Springboks. So what would be a good result for them out of this test match or this series?
I think if they're in the game in the last 20 minutes of every game, they'll be proud of it. I think if they don't give away drive tries, for example, I think I know that is the more is one big thing for them is to front up physically. To not be bullied in a contact situation will be a win for them. I think there's going to be other objectives than just a result. But again, I think they would like to be as competitive as possible, get tries scored. I think they'll try and score at least 2 tries. They know that is what you need in a World Cup to win a game, is 2 tries at least. They will try not to give away tries instead of chasing the victory.
Yeah, and the Boks have also spoken a lot about the Italian scrum as one of their strengths as well. I mean, it's obvious a Springbok scrum, but you sense, I won't say trepidation in the Boks, because I don't think you ever sense that in the Springboks, but there is a bit of, you think if there's a chink in the armor, it's the fact that they've got a couple of young props there at the moment. Jan Hendrik Wessels, for instance. I know they've gone with experience this weekend, but last weekend against that Barbarians team, it showed that the other guys who haven't got so many caps, they've still got a bit of work to do. So.
Oh, look, again, they would have played these Italian props in the URC, most of them. So they know them. They've dominated the Zebra and Benetton and some of these games that they've played. So I don't think that you know, it's not as intimidating as I suppose the All Black front row would be, or a more experienced pack. Yes, I mean Fischetti there's some good scrummagers, good players in that, but I still believe, you know, that the South Africans will have too much firepower in that regard.
Yeah. Just from an Italian side, any players you think South Africans must keep their eye out for, players to watch that you think are going to make a mark in this game?
Oh, look, Monticello is always the guy that, you know, the name
Mm.
that pops up straight away. I think he's physical, he's young still, he's got a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. He likes to measure himself against the best. There's a bit of arrogancy around him, which fires up everybody around him, you know. So definitely, I think he will definitely be somebody to keep an eye out. Yeah, look, I think that Nicotero that's going to captain the team. He's a good up and coming hooker, and I think he'll be asking questions around the park, and hopefully, you know, they set piece survive, and that will allow him to, you know, to make more of a statement.
Just away from the test match, just before that, we were having a little bit of a word about hybrid players, and a lot of talk about Andre Esterhuizen being at flank as well. But I mean, you've done something like that in the URC already, and maybe just talk a bit about that and your reasons for that, and where do you see the game going? Do you see it more becoming a situation where we're going to see more of these hybrid players, for want of a better word, coming out of the woodwork?
Oh, look, I did it with Stafford McDowell. Basically, the last 3 years, I've had him jump in line out often. You know, with all the cards around, we prepped him as a loose forward in case, you know. And then we had literally ran out of loose forwards for one, and two, I had both Hugh Jones and Sione Tupeluto available. This is another good ball carrier, another playmaker, somebody with that, you know, will you need your best players out on the pitch. So we prepped him the last 4 weeks to play at the loose forward, and he played actually against in the last round robin game, and a little bit in the semi-finals against Leinster at the loose forward, and yeah, it makes a difference. I think you know, first of all, you put somebody with a speed change in front of the contact on the park. In Andre's case, you know, he's powerful. He's a good ball carrier. Gives you go forward between the 215s, which you sometimes need. You know, he weighs 112, 115 kilograms. He will probably add a lot of weight more in scrum time anyway. So, yes, I think rugby must adapt a little bit from the traditional roles. I'm absolutely all about having the best rugby players on the pitch, not necessarily the best loose forwards or the best backline. It's all about having quality rugby players out there. Yes, there's position specific roles like the front row, which will be tough to adapt them. But I mean, you know, to cover for red cards and for yellow cards, and then in the same time add a bit of spice towards the back end of a game with somebody with that potential. Why not?
I know we only, just the final question from me. I mean, I know we're only a week into the British and Irish Lions tour in Australia, and that we still haven't seen much from the Australians yet. We'll get our first glimpse this weekend when they face Fiji. But just some of your players that have been playing there, just your thoughts on what you've seen so far after the first game?
Yeah, I was excited. All of them's played now. Hughes got on and he made his debut against the Western Force, and Scott Cummings started. Although he's already come off the bench against Argentina, and then obviously they only played he hasn't played much rugby due to the injury. I think he played the quarters, also the semi-final and final for us, and so quarterfinals and the semi-final. So yes, he's still a little bit underplayed, and he enjoyed the time out there, and he actually is finding form. To be honest, he played brilliantly on the weekend against the Force. Yes, it's all relative to opposition, but I thought they gelled well. The connection between him and the Ringrose, and then obviously the Hugh Jones coming on later, that makes it interesting. It's the fact that he's not involved now this week is obviously a good sign for him, and I hope you get a bit of continuity now. I see he's going to start, and then so excited. I think in general, much better performance from the Lions, obviously, and I thought Argentina shook their cage properly, so they'll be up for it on the tour from now on.
It's going to be interesting to see. And as I said, I don't think it's worth speaking too much about them just yet, because I think once we see Australia play and once we see a bit more of the Lions now play the Reds and other teams, we'll probably get a better sense. And next time I chat to you, we can have a better chat about that as well. But Franco, thanks. Enjoy it in sweltering Italy there. I know it's quite warm there. Enjoy the heat. It's quite cold here in Pretoria. But we'll chat soon. But thanks for the chat.
That's brilliant. Appreciate it. Good to be part of it.
Cheers.